a lot of businesses. So that's basically where I am as of now.
So, first, let me ask some more. What inspired you to start the new Millennium Institute and the Annie Malone Center?
Well, as a counselor, and particularly as I was in at ICC, I started writing a workbook, which which called "Stop Tripping: The Guide to Academic and Career Success." So I did my thesis. I forgot to mention that I did go back and got my master's at ISU, and that's where, as a result of workforce development, I started seeing individuals coming into the office, and we were a workforce development program. So we would train people to get jobs, hook them up with employers, and we would pay for their tuition. We would give them a stipend if they decided to go to Illinois Central College, pay for their transportation, child care. But I started noticing that most folks who came in would not complete the program. I saw the same. We had on the job training. Most individuals would come in begging for a job. We would hook them up with an employer, but the participant wouldn't show up. And so I started wondering, well, what is this phenomenon that I'm seeing? People coming in desperate, saying that they want a new opportunity to reach their dreams, but when they got it, they would sabotage themselves. So that's what inspired me to do
Oh,
my my curriculum and my thesis on self-handicapping behavior. So I did my thesis on self-handicapping behavior as a barrier to employment. And so once I completed that, then we started using the research that I did, and I made it into a workbook for high school as well as for trying to see if I have a book right here close to me. And of course I don't. I got one right here. I'll show it to you if you can see it. But this is the workbook that I developed. One is for high school, and one is for adults in college. But as a result of this curriculum, the workforce development, we started doing a week-long pre-assessment workshop. The workshop was designed to see if people would show up on time. It was designed to help them do a career and academic assessment, but more importantly, it was designed to help individuals identify their self-handicapping behaviors and the things that they were doing to sabotage themselves. So once we were able to help individuals identify those, we were able then to develop a self-enhancement plan. And once we got through that, we would help individuals develop an academic plan, a career plan. And once they completed our workshop, then we would refer them on to our regular programs. Now, as a result of this change in this assessment process, we won national awards several years in a row because of a
oh,
high completion rate. So we know that this workbook was a very successful tool with helping individuals not only come through the program but succeed in our program. So what I decided to do then was to take these concepts and things and start my own business called New Millennium Institute. Now, the word New Millennium, I decided to use that because we're in a new millennium. At that time, we didn't have AI like we do now. We're in a whole new technological era. But if we don't know ourselves, it doesn't matter uh, how much technology that we have or how many resources we're going to have. We're going to sabotage those things. So I just wanted to have something that would help not just students, not just individuals who are trying to find work, but also school districts, organizations, business, managers to also understand the dynamics of self handicapping behaviors to not only help individuals recruit individuals for academic programs, but also workforce success.
So I want to ask. So my next question is, like, in regards to to being a mentor for African American youth, what are some of the biggest challenges they face today, and how do you help them navigate these challenges? Because I met you
Well,
at
still one of the biggest.
because when
I'm
I
sorry, I didn't hear you.
because when I met you at Manual, you were doing such a great job with kids. Like there were some trouble with in regards, but you actually did have a big impact. Still have a big impact on them on Mondays, right? I think that's
Yes.
right. Yes. So explain that to the audience.
Well, that was one when I first met you. That was we were in the after school program,
Yes.
and we would meet at Manual. I think from 3 to 5 or 3 to 6. So I was offering a number of programs. Annie Malone leadership program, uh, stop tripping program, but also men of the new millennium, teaching individuals, particularly males, how to navigate the issues and challenges of being a male, and the impact and things that being a male has upon individuals' social and emotional capacity. I started the social and emotional learning way before that term even came out. The whole
Oh.
book is based upon social and emotional learning. As I was presenting to academians, they had no idea. Well, what is social and emotional learning? Never heard of that. We just need to stick to academics. And so that was a challenge to change the paradigm for academians. But the biggest challenges, some of the biggest challenges that I see, is still helping, particularly African American males, first to understand uh, what it is to be a male in terms of female relationships, responsibilities, children, uh, this false sense of masculinity, whereas gun violence, uh, the more children you have, the more masculine that you are. But help them understand what it really takes to be a man of the new millennium. One of the biggest challenges that we're facing is the impact that music has upon it. There's so much, not just music, but the media within itself. It's very hard to turn on the television without seeing things about fear, murder, and sex. It's very hard for many of the young men and our students, period. They are really attracted to music that has to do with death, gun violence, sex, and they unfortunately they tend to emulate those things that they hear because they're being programmed.
So
So, mhm.
so I actually agree with you. Like my father was raised on like he's Indian, but he loves Stevie Wonder, the Motown sound, Marvin Gaye, like James Brown. Growing up with that kind of music, like basically these were the people who helped like start like show African American culture to the world. Yet they create something for others to emulate. But when you get look at current hip hop culture as it is right now, and current like the thing that violence, death, and sex, like if you show that to kids only, that they show that there's nothing outside of that. So you are right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the other thing is that particularly our young men, and now we're seeing it more in our young ladies. I lived in public housing, but at that time, most of us that were residents in public housing in my generation did not have a poverty mindset.
Oh.
And what a poverty mindset means is that you get used to lack, and lack is not just economics. Lack it means without. So there's a lot of spiritual lack.
Hmm.
There's a lot of economic lack. There's a lot of lack in terms of goals. Uh, there's a lot of lack in terms of potential. Uh, we're losing a lot, and particularly generations of individuals that have a lot of potential that's just being the biggest recruiter that we're having, unfortunately, are the jails and the prisons and the mortuaries. So just trying to change those mindsets to let individuals know that there's a different way of living. And not only that, but what you do is going to be passed to your children's children. And the lack of a positive role model is a big factor to what we're seeing with our youth. So that's what the program was about. Millennium Institute covers education, it covers health, it covers business, but it also covers self development as well. So primarily four areas.
So, what do you think can be done in regards to just our society to help the marginalized? Since you are often the one who has to help marginalized youth firsthand, because you're in the trenches daily trying to protect these young people.
Well, I think I work with a lot of ex offenders, uh, individuals who have in their early days were, I'm gonna call them, victims of this lifestyle. But as they have matured, they were able to overcome not just the mindset, but also, well, primarily the mindset. And these individuals are very, very valuable in the sense of as tools of helping our young men and women not to adopt this lifestyle. So I would like to see the LEAP program is a very effective program. It borrows a lot of the principles and concepts of the Stop Tripping program. Uh, you have to hold children, students accountable for their own behavior. So accountability and responsibility in helping individuals understand their self-handicapping behaviors and help them identify strategies to overcome it. However, you hold the student or the participant accountable for their own behavior. So there needs to be, from my perspective, whole programs that just deal with the I call it's called cognitive restructuring, changing the mindset so that individuals, once you get the junk out of their head, then it becomes a lot easier for the individuals to have academic success and workforce development success. But the very effective teachers would be the non-traditional teachers, what I would call old gangsters, or people who've been through the system, so that they can understand and connect with individuals to help them get become successful.
Because sometimes I actually that's actually a very good approach to take because connecting with the people who have done the mistakes before. Excuse me, something wrong?
You're on mute.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I think I actually muted myself. So where am I? So the one thing you wanted, so what you want to
Okay,
do
okay,
is,
okay. I couldn't hear anything you said. You were on mute.
so one thing, the thing you could do, that's actually the perfect approach to take. You want to help these kids to bond with those who have made the mistakes before, so they know what not to do, but also get it from someone who's been in their shoes before. Because that's actually because someone who could you could be, but also at the same time someone who can pick themselves up and actually put themselves on the right path. Because showing that even if you make mistakes, like there's still always a second chance, but at the same time you shouldn't. I mean, that's the best way. So I want to ask a few more, some more questions. One question to ask: How do you see the future of the Annie Malone Institute and the new Millennium Institute? Like, do you propose, or will you be creating more leadership like you to take up the reins?
Well, let me show you the Annie Malone. First thing, Annie Malone is a historical figure here from Peoria, Illinois. She's really the first black female millionaire, one of the first black female millionaires. but more importantly, one from Peoria, Illinois. She attended Peoria High, the
Oh,
Annie Malone Center for Development, and she dropped out. And Annie Malone is the whole idea of the Annie Malone Center for Development is to, first of all, educate individuals, doesn't matter race, color, ethnicity, doesn't matter, of how to overcome really substantial barriers. Annie Malone was an orphan. Her parents were ex-slaves. Annie Malone, once her parents died, she was from Metropolis. She moved from Metropolis here to Peoria, Illinois, and lived with my great grandfather and her sister, Annie Malone's sister, who married my great grandfather, and became a multimillionaire. Now you have to remember, in her day, racism was real. You get outside of a parameter, you could be killed. She came through the depression. When depression, we have COVID. She faced the Spanish flu. Annie Malone, from a first of all being a black woman and woman period, was able to build an empire that had 75,000 parole agents. And not only that, she gave away millions of dollars. She would fund every year 2 to 3 African American students to historically black colleges. She was able to help individuals have their own business through hair products. And all these hair products were found naturally through Mother Moody, who was an ex slave, took Annie Malone out in the woods because Annie Malone had respiratory issues, and was able to identify herbs and things that would help not only her respiratory problems, Annie Malone's respiratory, but also many of these same products could be used for scalp and to grow hair. And so Annie Malone, and one of the things that's missing, I believe, with our community, particularly African American, but it's across the country, is that we're suffering from a mental void, a spiritual void. Mental health is rampant, anxiety, depression, all those kind of things. The trauma. Almost all individuals that I work with have some kind of trauma
that's
that's
unfortunate.
triggering a lot of these self-handicapping behaviors. The thing that can help that is having a spiritual foundation. Annie Malone uh, knew her purpose the day she was born. She was ordained. She was anointed to be a pioneer. Knowing your purpose is very, very valuable because once you know your purpose and you understand that you have a spiritual void, you believe in something higher than yourself, gives you the strength and gives you the faith to have a vision. Without vision, people perish. So Annie Malone had a vision, not so much of becoming the first black female millionaire, that was a blessing, but a vision to empower her people to become entrepreneurs, to empower her people to seek education, to empower her people to 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 give back to the community, to empower her people to become self-sufficient business, spiritual foundation. So she was really a person ahead of her time. So this book, who my grandparents ran Toro College, she had a college that was designed specifically for hair care.
Oh,
Not only did she have 75,000 agents throughout America, but she also had agents in Africa and the Caribbean.
wow.
Uh, Most people know Madam C.J. Walker as the first black female millionaire, but Madam C.J. Walker was a student of Annie Malone and
Oh.
borrowed Annie Malone's whole business model and claimed it. Madam C.J. Walker claimed it as her own, but Madam C.J. Walker and Annie Malone are great examples of how you can become a millionaire and give back to your people and realize how important education is in running your own business. They were the great leaders of business, and particularly a great example of how to overcome barriers. So, within this book, I teach 5 principles that can apply to anyone who wants to become the next Annie Malone. And the first principle is having a vision. Without vision, people perish. Having a plan, resilience, being able to bounce back when things don't go your way, self and community empowerment. Annie Malone always believed in grow as much as you can, grow as much as you can. But more importantly, we really need that now, what's going on in our community, a lot of homicides and those kind of things. But empower your community. Back in the day, it took a village to raise a child. That was a very strong thing. But and then the last one is have a spiritual foundation. Spiritual foundation will give you principles and a philosophy to help guide you through hard times and to help you overcome challenges and barriers. So that's the importance of Annie Malone. But teaching individuals, particularly our youth, Black history and to let them know that they have a great, great role model right here from Peoria, Illinois, Central High School that lives here and that individuals can also become the next Annie Malone.
So, due to running out of time because Zoom limits the amount of time, I think we'll call the interview there. Thank you for everyone for watching and for especially learning about Mr. Bryson's work as well as the history of Annie Malone.